Welcome to Teachers College. Welcome to the symposium in service of education, the life and times of Guo Pingwen, China's first global educator. My name is Mun Seng, chair of the symposium. This symposium is co-organized by Teachers College, the C.V. Starr East Asian Library at Columbia University, and the China Institute in New York. Dr. Guo Pingwen received his doctorate from Teachers College in 1914, 100 years ago. 100 years ago. This year, 2014, is the centennial of his graduation. Today, we get together in this symposium to commemorate Dr. Guo's graduation centennial. Dr. Guo had outstanding achievements throughout his post-Teachers College career. He made very significant contributions to education as an educator, and he made very significant contributions to U.S.-China bilateral relationship as a diplomat. His achievements represent the best of what a Teachers College alumnus can do, and his achievements also represent the best of what a Teachers College education can do. Teachers College is very proud to have such an outstanding graduate. Teachers College has strong commitment to expertise in comparative and international education. As we celebrate Dr. Guo's life and legacy today, we also celebrate the special relationship between Teachers College and modern Chinese education. And Teachers College is continuing its special relationship with Chinese education today. Today, we have the opportunity to know more about Dr. Guo's life and his legacy in education and in diplomacy. We have 6 distinguished speakers to comment on Dr. Guo's life and legacy. We also have 3 education panels to discuss and reflect on Dr. Guo's education legacy. I have the honor to introduce a number of speakers. The first one is Carolyn Xu Baosei, honorary co-chair of the symposium, who is giving an introduction of Dr. Guo Pingwen. Carolyn Xu is the great-grandniece of China Institute co-founder and educator Guo Pingwen. Born in Richmond, Virginia, and raised in Asia, Carolyn graduated from Wheaton College with a BA in economics. In 1997, after working in finance and in merchandising and product development for the apparel industry, Carolyn founded Snowpiercer, an infant wear company with an international reach. An avid collector of Chinese contemporary art, Carolyn has organized a number of art exhibitions, both here and abroad, notably Xubing Tobacco Project, Virginia, in 2011, Blooming in the Shadows, in 2011, Ming Chou Chi, a retrospective exhibition, in 2011, Light Before Dawn, in 2013, and so on. Carolyn and her husband also collect Japanese art, woodwork prints, and have donated their collections to the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts. The collection will be the subject of a major exhibition in November 2014. Carolyn has honored her great-granduncle's legacy through her involvement with 2 universities he founded, Nanjing Southeast University and Shanghai University of Finance and Economics, and by sponsoring scholarships in his memory. Carolyn served on the Board of Trustees of the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts and currently serves on the museum's foundation board. She also serves on the Overseers Committee and the Asian Art Committee of Boston Museum of Fine Arts, and is a trustee of the China Institute. In 2008, Carolyn was awarded the China Institute's Blue Cloud Award. Let's welcome Carolyn Su Bose.
Thank you, Wang Zhang. Dear friends and distinguished guests, I'd like to welcome you all to New York City and to Columbia Teachers College. I offer you a very large thanks on behalf of myself and my family for gathering here today, many from very far away, to honor the first Chinese to receive a PhD from Columbia Teachers College, my great-grand-uncle, Guo Bingwan. I have memories of visiting my great-grand-uncle in his apartment in Washington, D.C. Most of the memories concentrate on the wind-up toys that were on his desk. However, later on, as I learned more about him, I came to know him as a brilliant, deep-thinking person who exhibited true Confucian values. As an educator in China, he strongly advocated a deep knowledge of one's own language and culture, but he also advocated taking the best that Western education had to offer. I would like to give thanks to the faculty and administration of Teachers College for their unwavering support. A very special thanks to all the students who have so generously donated their time and efforts to make this symposium a reality. The volunteer students who are in the audience, please stand up so we can give you a round of applause. 为学生鼓掌。It is now my pleasure to introduce to you the one person without whose support this symposium would not have been possible. Please join me in welcoming the President of Teachers College, Ms. Susan Furman.
Thank you very much. Good morning. It's my honor to welcome you to Teachers College and to the celebration of the life and legacy of Guo Pingwan. We're so pleased to host this event and to welcome so many guests from China. I know that many of you have traveled very far to come to this event, and in particular, I want to welcome members of the Guo Pingwan family. We're thrilled you're here for this occasion. Obviously, we would not be here today without the vision and driving force of Carolyn Su, as you learned, the great-grandniece of Guo Pingwan. Thank you, Carolyn, for your tireless efforts to bring this day together. You have further honored this legacy this year by establishing the Guo Pingwan Scholarship at TC with generous support of your family's foundation. This new scholarship funds master's or doctoral students who are from China and who are pursuing careers in education and leadership. We're thrilled that our first Guo Pingwan scholars are here today. Let me introduce them to you. First, Meng Cao. Please stand up, thank you. Who is pursuing a PhD in mathematics education. You've taught mathematics in China for more than 9 years. And Yang Jun, thank you, welcome. Studying for a PhD in human development and cognitive studies. Also from China, you've taught math in the United States as well. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here. We're greatly honored to have so many Chinese officials and education leaders with us today. So our warm welcomes to Professor Yu Wei, former Vice Minister of Education, Professor Liu Bo from Southeast University in Nanjing, Vice Chairman Zhou Hunyu from Hebei Provincial People's Congress. And our thanks as well to the China Institute, represented today by Vice President Thomas Moore, and to the C.V. Starr East Asian Library at Columbia University, represented by Director Jim Chang. Finally, thank you all in the TC community, the students who are working so hard today, and all the faculty members who are joining us, in addition to our symposium chair, Mun Sang, and our keynoter, Henry Levin. We have many other faculty who I'm so pleased and delighted are here with us today. Thank you. Teachers College is the perfect setting for this celebration. It's the birthplace of international and comparative education. I often tell the story that James Earl Russell, who decided that he wanted to learn from abroad in the late 1890s, came back to Teachers College after a visit and offered a scholarship to anyone who would take a course in international and comparative education. And he budgeted $500 per student. This is in 1901, a very great sum of money, expecting 3 students. And 24 students came to take his course, and I never heard whether he actually produced $500 for each of those 24 students. But that was the start of international and comparative education at Teachers College. I actually sit at James Earl Russell's actual desk, his literal desk, and am pleased to carry on the tradition that he started. When Kuo Pin Wen came here, TC, in 1911, it was during a real transformative era in education that Teachers College was leading, with icons like James Earl Russell and John Dewey, of course, who were revolutionizing and internationalizing education. The first Chinese students at TC received master's degrees as early as 1905. By 1910, hundreds of students came here to study and returned to China. And during this time, leading TC faculty went to China, and there was much cross-pollination of ideas and theories about education and social reform. Dewey influenced Kuo and other TC students from China in the early 20th century, especially in his philosophy that education should build on learning in everyday life, and that learning must be as broad and rich an experience as possible. TC professor Paul Monroe had the greatest impact on Kuo Pin Wen's ideas and career, as well as on TC students who later became leading educators in China. Monroe was a major figure in his own right in the development of education in China, making a dozen trips there from 1920 on. While Dewey provided the theoretical foundation for educational innovation, Monroe exerted a practical influence on areas such as curriculum implementation. This influence was evident in Kuo's doctoral dissertation, The Chinese System of Public Education, a wide-ranging account of the history and structural development of education in China from ancient times onward. It marked the beginning of a new age in education in China. This work was published by Teachers College in 1915 and later in Shanghai. Kuo is an avid supporter of broad education in the liberal arts and sciences, as well as women's education. He believed that Asian educational institutions could benefit from studying Western accomplishments in science, and Western institutions could learn much from China and Eastern philosophy. His legacy endures in the long-standing partnership between TC and China. Indeed, this connection has been a major force in our 126-year history, and it continues to hold so much promise for future collaborations. I've had the wonderful opportunity as TC president to visit China, where we have a robust and growing network of alumni and friends. And today, China sends more international students to TC than any other country. And a number of our faculty members, as you'll learn today, are collaborating on research projects in China. We have a very full day of planned, fascinating speakers and expert panels that are sure to engage you in lively conversation. In the spirit of Kuo Pin Wen, as we mark this centennial, we look forward to the next century of a remarkable relationship between Teachers College and China. Thank you.
Now, I'm going to introduce the next speaker, Professor Yu Wei, former Vice Minister of Education, China. I have 2 full pages here. I was so impressed. So I'm going to read some of the highlights, but all of them are highlights. From 1984 to 1993, she was the director of the LMBE laboratory and president of Southeast University. She has received honorary degrees from 9 universities outside mainland China, and was awarded honorary committee member of Chinese Association of Science and Technology. During her long career as a teacher and researcher in electronics, her significant achievement included the development of bioelectronics and grounding molecular and biomolecular electronics. She also had made important contributions to the reform of higher education and distance education in China during 1993 to 2002, when she was the Vice Minister in the Ministry of Education, China. From 1994 to 2002, she was a member of ICSU, CCBS, which represents International Council of Scientific Unions, Committee of Capacity Building on Science. Since 2001, Dr. Wai has founded a new interdisciplinary research, the science of learning, the frontier area of mind, brain, and education in China. At the same time, she introduced learning by doing, an inquiry-based approach to science education into China, and founded the website www.handsbrains.com. Based on her contribution to learning by doing in 2006, she was awarded the Perquois Prize by the French Academy of Science. In 2007-08, she chaired the committee revising the national standards of science education in primary schools in China, which were presented to the Ministry of Education at the end of 2009. In 2010, she and her team received the first ranking national prize of education reform in Chinese basic education. Dr. Wai also had tremendous contribution to the training of rural women teachers in China, and she received a great grant from the Li Ka-shing Foundation for doing her research. Her project had tremendous influence in China and elsewhere. And she was awarded this UN Special Contribution Award and was listed as top 60 women contributing to 60 years of UNESCO. Let's welcome Dr. Wai.
Thank you very much for your so nice introduction. Distinguished friends, good morning. Firstly, I would like to express my sincere thanks to all friends who makes the significant forums possible and invite me here. During 1985 to 1993, I was the president of Southeast University. One of the remarkable events is turned the name of Nanjing Institute of Technology back to Southeast University at 1988 May. It's a lot story, but I cannot tell you today. In order to follow this tradition of comprehensive university, 1993 to 2002, I left the SEU and served for the central government as vice minister in the MOU for 10 years. After I gave up the position in MOE back to SEU and grounded the Research Institute of Learning Science at June 2002 at the centennial celebration of SEU. Now it is the key lab of MOE for learning science and child development at the SEU. What I taught you today is my research work, which is not related to the policy of present MOE China. So what I said is not related to MOE. It's very important. This is my personal research. This topic is the impact of neuroscience to learning by doing project. It's my research in the past over 10 years. And I hope what I did is follow the idea for 100 years before the President Go, the opening mind and what is most important for Chinese education reform. In 1994, as scientists, individual invited as number of ICSU CCBS. To leadership is George Champac, the Nobel Prize winner in French, and Leon Lederman in Chicago. All the scientists, major scientists, we see for the future, science is so important for society. Education, or they should cultivating the students with the mind, the way of thinking, critical thinking. It's very important for the future. This is why we formed this in 1994 as an individual. In 2000, I invited the whole committee came to China, have a meeting there. Then we got the proof for central government, for the Vice Premier Li Lanqing to start this experiment in China. So with the CAST, some like the SSS in China, and the Ministry of Education, former start this experiment for learning by doing. Actually, this is the for 5 to 12 inquiry-based science education experiment. Now we have the experiment school for less than 20. Now it's expanding to 200,000 students. We are very proud it. We got some prize. Chairperson already said, I don't like to repeat it again. But it's unique characters. In the beginning, we decided, based all this experiment reform, is based on evidence-based research. We decided, because it's my background, by lecturing. You know, this is your professor in uni. He said, this is unique, wonderful opportunity, but you have to in the new direction. You know, this is your Nobel Prize winner. He gave a very good speech in the Charles series. They are grounded this in 2002. This is just celebrating the 100 years anniversary for Southeastern University. This, to my understanding, what is neuroeducation? Usually the education is based on personal wisdom in the most, right? You see this. Then in the last 30 years, we developed the learning science, basic cognition science, and developed psychology, something. In 2000 year, we know the very important book published is How People Learn. We first know how people learn. But the chance give us is combined together to set a translated discipline research based on neuroscience. This also my role is. For neuroeducation point of view, what is capacity, what is capability of human is from motion, perception to ethics, moral. You can find all the related circuits in brain, the biology base. I wrote this picture. This I cited from UK. They published in 2008. This is an advice board give their premier about the future development of UK intelligence capacity. You can see the whole process. 2 periods very important, 0 to 3 and 13 to 19 maybe. This 2 period very important. This picture in the bottom is biology effects. In the up is the social context. This is 3 slides is the key concept of neuroeducation. That's all. What we did use this, we have developed deeply the IBSE method, how really is IBSE, why, what is the reason, how we do this correct. But I'm very proud we changed the policy for early child development in China. This is a big change in China. I think we are very proud of this. And we first time in China initiate the science education with social emotion competency cultivating. We did the experiment, particularly in Shanghai. I didn't have time to give the detail, but we are very good. And we will try to develop some instrumentation as a method to really measure the outcome of learning. First, this example, 10 experts from 8 countries, we gathering in Scotland and write a book about science education. I interpret into China. After 5 years, this book is interpreted in many languages. Originally written by Wing Heron in English from UK, but there's many, including in at least 7 languages already. We just last month gathering again. You can see this picture up. In the same place, we wanted the 2nd edition already. This was, we made some contribution for science education worldwide based on international cooperation. As I'm working in the CPPCC as the leader in this CCPCC for education, not in government, but in parliament, we organized the meeting. This meeting invited World Bank experts came to China, Mary Yang, Mustad. Then we tried to talking with very high level leadership. That is the very important contribution to change the policy for early child development already. We also started to introduce the social emotion competency education in China. Just give you examples. In Shanghai, this girl has Down syndrome, but he is the final performer in the Olympic game for the mild illness people. He was so happy. He got the confidence back. I think not for the science education, the reform, not for only for cultivating the scientists. It's for all the people, for including disabled children. Then also here in New York, as one of the funding for International Society of Mild Brain Education, now attached in Harvard University. You should know the both. Kunter Fischer is the dean of the Graduate School for Education in Harvard. Another, Antonia Damasio, is the famous neuroscientist. We have a committee, and we have set meeting in Ross School. We have the 3rd workshop there in 2006. They both, Antonia Damasio and Kunter Fischer, is very good friends of mine, and now it's all the honorary visiting professor in Southeast University. We decided to build a worldwide network for develop instrument. I only give 2 examples to you because I think the time is not allow me to say. One is how you measurement the empathy, children's empathy. This is particularly important in China because we will have 1 child, 1 family policy. And we have so many children left in countryside without the parents. So the empathy is all based on moral. So we try to use science education to improve the empathy. We really do this measurement, this procedure, and this is the results. We came to also the countryside to do this experiment in the west part of China, and to measure how they improve the cooperation, the respect to others, and measurement with skin contaction, with face, with all physiology factors. This is the results. We give this document, say, if we do the inquiry-based education, particular group people, group students together, we can improve. This is another research. This is follow the Carl Wieman in MIT. Carl Wieman was the consultant for Obama for STEM. He did the experiment in physics, inquiry-based science education. And then we take his example, but put in middle school. We know if you want to have creativity, you have some key concept become unconsciousness right. You see the picture, then your reaction is unconsciousness right. One of my PhD students came to Suzhou, to the middle school, and developed all the teachers' courses. She took these courses for half years. Then test all the comparing thing. Then finally, we use EIP, brain EIP, to measure all the students is in unconsciousness they can respond correct key concept or not. This is the little bit different from Carl Wieman's example. He didn't do EIP, but we continue in his work, continue to develop EIP instrument. This just the results say how the classroom practice influence the concept, and with this EIP, I not technology give the detail, but already published. What do we do? I think for Chinese education, even for China, most important now is to have scientific spirit, critical thinking. This is not only for education, for the future of China. We need to seeking the evidence for everything. We hope our next generation, our students here in China, many younger scholars here, should use thinking in your way in scientific style. Okay? Critical thinking based evidence. So not only for scientific development, this is for China. The insist opening policy, cooperation with outside. This is the way I think we can follow President Go's future and wish. So I thanks to our colleagues in Southeastern University, thanks MOE and CAST, the strong support for the reform. Also thank the Lama Lapa team in French Academy. They consist cooperation and support us for over 10 years. I have so many, but I most like the friends, George Champek has already passed away in 2 years before. I thank the GE Foundation. The Triple S, my friends there, Marco, funded some money for me. Over 100 million, 1 million $1 million. And Li Ka-shing, my good friends, give me 5 million Chinese, the Hong Kong dollar. With this money, I have freedom. Without government support, I can do it my way, in my goal. But now I don't worry about money, because so many money support from government, private, from parents. But the starting, the past 10 years, very, very hard fight. I recorded this a book, why I do 10-year learning by doing. Spend the 10-year life, I give box to the president. Thank you very much. I hope not to learn.